So without further ado, let's get started. All right. So if Bill and TJ, if y'all would like doesn't matter the order, but if y'all would like to introduce yourselves, and the Reeve program, go for it.
I guess, TJ, I guess I'll start and then we'll sort of kick it over to you if you want. So, it's good to see everybody. Glad to have the opportunity to be here, Garrison. Thanks for offering it up for us. So my name is Bill Cawley. I'm the director for the Peer and Family Support Program, and that's our national peer mentoring program, made up of about 550 volunteers across the country. Not just spinal cord injured, but really anybody living with any kind of paralyzing condition, but predominantly spinal cord injuries, as you might imagine. I myself am injured. I got hurt back in 1992 in a diving accident down on the Jersey Shore. I am, just by way of background a little bit, I'm married, 4 kids, met my wife after my injury, and have been working with the Reeve. Prior to working for the Reeve Foundation, I spent a lot of my life in corporate America and stuff. I joined the foundation in 2009 and had the opportunity to start the peer mentoring program. A couple things about it, just to give you a little understanding. We have the program is designed not just for people living with paralysis, but also family member caregivers. So we have mentors that are the lived experience that have been injured, whether that's a low level para or a high level quad who's vented, or someone again who might have just been diagnosed with MS or ALS or something like that, unfortunately. And then so we'll match people. I'll let TJ talk about matching in a moment. And then we provide mentoring for the moms, and like what we like to say is we want moms talking to moms and dads talking to dads, and etc. So that's a big part of our program as well. And it is a peer focused program. It's really what the peer wants to talk about, when they want to talk, and how they want to talk about things, in what way. And then lastly, it's not just for someone who is living, who's been, let's say, recently injured. For example, it is no matter where you are in your journey, whether it's 2 years, 5 years post-accident or diagnosis, or 10 years. It's really what you want to do, how you want to improve your quality of life, and how we can support you. And then maybe TJ, you can talk a little bit about matching, and then I want to, we'll answer, respond to questions.
Yeah.
Help, Garrison?
Yep. All right, TJ.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so my name's TJ Griffin. I'm one of the peer mentor program coordinators for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. I'm also injured. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic. I broke my neck in 1990 playing high school football. It was making a tackle in a game, but it was a good hit. I went out in style, is the way I look at it. Plus, right. I live in Texas, so if you're going to get hurt, you want to get hurt playing high school football. We take it pretty serious down here. So, But I've been with the Reeve Foundation now I've been with them since 2013. And what's interesting to me, and what, I get a lot out of it too, being a peer mentor, but being the peer mentor coordinator, I talk to someone I talk to people daily, that come to us that are newly injured, or they've been injured for a while and they're needing help. And, one of the things I try to do at first is, understand a little bit what they're going through, some of their biggest concerns, kind of give them some advice of, I've been hurt for 34 years. I've kind of been through the ringer and experienced a lot of things, whether it be skin or dating or whatever life might throw at us. Hopefully I can give them some advice, and then what we do is we try to match them up with someone. And so we have over 600 mentors across the country, and like Bill said, ranging from all different levels of injury. We have people that are C1, C2 on vents that are mentors, to all the way down to L4, L5, and then we have some that are incomplete, where they might use a walker or they had some issues, but what we can do is we'll match them up. So if a 30-year-old, C5 or a 25-year-old C5 male guy comes to me that's single, I'm going to match him up with another guy in his 20s that's a C5 injury, which is a different than, say it's a 45-year-old that's been married and has 2 kids and is a C5. They have different priorities in life. So we also match it up by not only, the injury, we try to match it up if you're single, if you're married, if you have kids, or, if you're maybe interested in sports, we try to match you with someone that's one of our mentors that's been injured for a while, that's very into adaptive sports. And then same goes for, obviously I'm never going to really I try not to ever match a paraplegic with a quadriplegic. It's just a different life. Any paras on the field, on the call, you guys with your fingers that work and stuff, I'm just joking, but we try to keep it as similar as possible, like, especially, recently I just matched somebody that wants, that's just about to go back to school and college because he's young and got injured, and he's about to start college over again. And I matched him up with somebody that's in college, that's been in college for a couple of years. They can give that. So, it makes a difference. And then, like Bill said, it's especially the family members because they go through it as well. You know, a spouse or parents or, you know, someone that's close to you that is injured, you know, they're, and what's kind of unique is I find that the people that are family members are wanting to talk with someone immediately when someone's injured, where when you first get hurt, sometimes if you're the person with paralysis, it might take a little while before you're willing to accept what's going on and you want to reach out for help, but the family members are very eager and they want as much information as possible. So we will match them up, you know, with a, you know, another spouse so they can, you know, or if they're going to be the caretaker or if they're just needing information about home modification, whatever it might be, we try to answer it. And what's really nice as well is besides matching them with a one-on-one mentor of ours is we have our information, you know, we have our information specialist, we have our paralysis resource center that we can provide a lot of information and documents so they can read about it as too. And I've also noticed that the family members really want that information, from the paralysis resource guide that we can provide to information on home modifications to skin, you know, what, you know, if there's someone maybe dealing with UTIs, we can give that information to as well about, you know, so it's just a lot of information that we can provide. And more importantly, the thing I feel like is the most is kind of what you were touching on, Garrison, earlier was, you know, having that person that you can go to and call and say, I'm having this issue. Have you ever had this? Or how'd you handle this? Or how do you handle, you know, just sometimes the reality of sometimes this, you know, hey, I've been hurt 34 years. I'm not going to lie and say this, it's always great, but there's those days it just sucks. And, you know, we're the ones that can tell them it's okay to have a bad day. And, you know, it's okay to have that. You just got to do your best not to let a bad day turn into a week. And next thing you know, a week turns into a month and you haven't left your house or you haven't done anything. That's what, you know, we're here to help them get through that and make sure that they know that they're not alone in this journey. And we've been there, you know, kind of walk, you know, or rolled that path for them. And we can help them guide that a little bit easier so they don't feel like they're alone and have to do it by themselves. So I know that's a lot of information, but, you know, it's
Nah,
kind of
thanks, TJ.
what it is.
And Donahue, let me see if he's available.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, yeah. So whenever you get a chance, can you explain, you know, give us an idea of what you're doing, you know, currently in New York City, you know, how you've been mentoring others, your career with it, the whole
Yeah,
nine.
so yes, as a peer mentor, honestly, I just try to get people active and out the door, get you moving. Um, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I only can use the tools that help me to go forward, kind of like a template, and that first step is to get out. Whatever it is that you used to love doing, find another way to do it. I promise you, yes, it may not be the same, but you just have to move on. It's kind of like, acquiring a disability versus being born, right? So I'm speaking to people that have acquired their disability later in life. It's kind of like a breakup, right? Or a divorce. Yes, it's painful to transition. You think about the past and the way it was and all the good times, but you move on. You move on, and that's the step. We go through our grievance process, but you have to move on. You have to find something to plug yourself into, something positive. If it's not physical activity, work with other people with disabilities. I don't know, help them out. Maybe that'll help you. How do I explain it? But what I'll explain to you what I do. I'll explain what I do. I do adaptive boxing here in New York. The goal is to become the home of USA Boxing. That's our goal. So when it comes to Team USA Adaptive Boxing, they have to come through us. We'll be the governing body. We'll have the relationship with whether it's WBC, USA Boxing, sanctioning. We're just working on the rules and regulations right now. We're about to do a training camp in Florida, about a week-long training camp with world champion Nate Campbell. That'll be early spring. I also mentioned we'll be filming soon on some TV shows with other people with disabilities that are amazing. If you guys haven't noticed yet, check it out. It's Baddies on Wheels, Pressure TV. And we'll be doing the epic comeback of Paul Williams. If you guys don't know who that is already in the group, he's a 3-time world champion boxer that acquired his spinal injury from a motorcycle accident, unfortunately. And it's been a while, it took me some time and some effort to kind of get him back outside and introduce the sport to him, and he's in love with it now. So we're behind his epic comeback to boxing. but this time from a wheelchair. So we're working on some things, man. If anybody ever want to come work out with me, I'm here. I do this like 4 or 5 days out of the week on my own. I don't charge. You just come and work. And yeah, I'll put my number in the chat. I can do that. I don't know if there's background noise. I'm trying to speak over the background noise that I have around here. Sorry, guys, if there is.
No, you're good. You're good. Everything sounds, we can hear you clearly.
You hear me clear? Okay.
Yeah. So let me go into some questions.
Yes.
So the first question, either Bill or TJ can answer, but what are the primary roles and responsibilities of a peer mentor in your program?
TJ, you want to speak to that?
Yeah. So, like I said, we have a lot of mentors. So our mentors are volunteers, and so we appreciate what they do. And really, the main thing is they have to do a training with us. So we do a training just so they understand kind of what the process is, kind of, and give them some like scenarios of what they might have to deal with from a mentor standpoint, some of the questions they ask, and more importantly, understand certain things of confidentiality of, you can't be sharing what they're saying as long as they're not expressing any views of hurting themselves or hurting someone else. We want everything to be held confidentiality. We also, we give them the rule if they run into somebody that they worry about their state of mind or anything, what the process is on that. But really, a lot of it is we would reach out to them, say, hey, we have a peer that's really needing help. Maybe it's recently injured or they've just been injured for a while, but they're needing to talk to a mentor. He's close to your level of injury and your age. So we would give them their information. We would provide the information to the peer as well, so they both know each other, introduce them through email. And then our peer mentor will reach out to them. And then, as Bill said earlier, that's kind of up to the peer of how often they want to talk and what they want, or if they're under the age of 20 or 30, they're going to probably only text because that's all they do is text, I've decided. So, but whatever they want, whichever form of communication they want to do. And then our mentors there, to do that. And we do have access to a database so they can put some of that information that they talked into, so they can keep track of what they talked about last time, or if they're needing it, or if they want to give me the information, I can always put it in for them. We kind of do that, but we try not to overload our mentors with too many, because they have life. They're dealing with a lot of things themselves, and they might be working, and they might be doing something else in the community. So usually I would say most of our mentors probably get 2 or 3, 4 at the most mentors throughout the year. But these, we want those relationships to last, more than just once. So occasionally they might only talk once or twice, but there's several. We have mentors that have become friends and they're part of each other's lives for over 8 years, and, they're there, and they're more almost like a friendship now. But at first it started out with just giving them some life lessons, tools. And we've had several mentors, be able to meet up in person and show them how they transfer, show them how they do certain things, whatever it might be. So a lot of it is what the peer is needing. We provide, we want our mentor to do the best of what they can provide them, answer their questions. We also let them know it's okay if you don't know that answer, you can come back to us and we can put it out to some of our other mentors, or we can reach out to our, if there's certain resources they're needing and our mentor doesn't know where to find them, there's a good chance our information specialist can find that and send that directly to the peers. But really, our mentors are there to be that sounding board and be that support system, and sometimes also be that motivation and that kick in the butt, because sometimes when the peer is hurt, or if they're having a rough time with their injury and they have family members, they can always say to them, well, you have no idea what it's like. They can't really pull that with us on the mentors. We've been there, we've done that, we're doing the same thing. And sometimes people need that push of, you can still do this. I'm living proof of it. I've done it, you know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. So it goes, it's not always just support. We want to support them, but sometimes they might need that push, and we can provide that for them.
Hey, I'll just add real quick to what TJ said too. I think what we encourage our mentors to do is sort of strike the balance of helping them get to where they want to go without telling them how to do it or what to do necessarily. Help them find the way through it, but also make them feel empowered to do it. So not like, hey, you've been here for 2 years now, what have you been doing? It's more like, hey, so what do you want to do, and how can I help you get there?
And a lot of it too is we want to provide them the tools too. Like a lot of times, when I'm talking to someone newly injured or something, and we try, our mentors, the same thing is learning to take the bit, stop thinking, like, especially when you're first hurt, you just want to think about getting your old life back or walking again or whatever it might be. Sometimes, like, all right, let's break this down to realistic goals, and short-term goals, and getting them to focus on some of the things that are really attainable and watching them get, accomplish one of those short-term goals and how much better their attitude can be. So, that's the good thing is some of our mentors can show them how to set some goals or give them the tools of how they learn to do certain things. And once people start doing, maybe finding a little more independence because of something maybe the mentor has told them or given them some advice on, can really help their attitude and really help them kind of accept the situation and deal with the situation a little easier.
Thank you for that. All right, so the next question I have, this question will be for Donahue. So, what are some of the common issues you have noticed when you are mentoring an individual?
Oh man, certain words like what my good man just said a couple minutes ago, right? A couple seconds ago. When you tell them, listen, let's set realistic goals, that is crushing. That right there to some people, all right, the guard is up. They don't want to interact anymore. They don't answer calls, they don't want to show up. That's the hardest part, man, is getting them to face the reality and move forward. Like, you're not going to wake up you're not going to wake up tomorrow and walk again. It's not happening. Now it can happen. It's happened for people, and there's a process and there's a way of going about it, and there's other ways to do it, right? The same way you were before, I can't promise you that, but that shouldn't be your only focus right now. There are other things that are more important to get you there. First, you have to build strength and recovery. I mean, you were just in the hospital for 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 or 6. You haven't been active. How strong are you? Can you even handle your own weight? Let's start with the basis of, okay, before you get here, can we take care of these steps first? And that's the hardest part. That is the main obstacle, honestly. Just the initiative, just to get them to show up.
Yeah, I wanted to add something, Donnie, if you don't mind me. I really
jump in, TJ. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point of what you said, because that's one of the things we try to tell our mentors is, when we do is, we're not going to break your hope, but right now let's just focus on something that we know realistic, because you're exactly right. You don't want to break their spirit, but at the same time, you got to try to somehow get some reality. Like, hey, I'm not saying you're not going to walk again, but right now let's just focus on, can you get this done right now, and then we'll go from there. And then your hope is to do that. I really like what your point was there on the Donahue. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Donahue.
No, exactly, man. It's a thin line when you're mentoring. It's a thin line because you don't know. Sometimes you don't know the right thing to say could be taken the wrong way. And you're not going to sit here and lie to people. I'm not going to give you a fantasy. That's not our job. Our job is to support you through this transition of your life, and it's very detrimental while we're here. I know they may not see it as important in the moment, but I promise you, 2 years from now, when certain issues that you could have dealt with physically, absolutely, and not just the emotional. Let's just take it out of the emotional and mental state, right? I can give you an example. For me, it was so hard for me to accept my disability in the beginning that for the first 2 years, I didn't take care of myself. I wasn't doing pressure release. I wasn't active to help with my heart, make my heart stronger, increase my circulation, get my blood and water moving. I didn't learn about my body, how it works now, what things to avoid. And I dealt with complications from that you deal with for years later sometimes. Sometimes it can take your life, or it can alter you. It can make your life worse. And then some people now you're in a deeper hole, and you're like, I'm never coming out of this. And I'm like, no, we could have avoided that. Just ride with me. I'm not here for no reason.
Yeah. And I said, we don't want to crush the spirit. What I always tell them is like, listen, I don't know if you're going to get recovery, but all I do know is I can help you with what you're dealing with right now. And as I always tell them, I was like, to me, spinal cord injury and paralysis is like snowflakes. You're never going to find two exactly alike. It doesn't, so don't get discouraged. It's just do what you can control right now. And then that's what we try to, preach that to our mentors as well, to give that message. Like, hey, we're not here to say I'm just telling you how I did something, and I'm here to support you if you need something,
Yeah. And that's a good point that y'all made. I am the peer mentor coordinator as well here at Mount Sinai. And that's one of the things that we do emphasize. You don't want to give medical advice. So I would never tell someone you know,
No,
their
that's what doctors are
prognosis.
for.
Yeah. I say go ask your doctor, whatever your doctor is telling you. But the main thing is how you're going to live right now with your injury and your ability that you have right now. And that's what I try to help individuals get through. So for the next question I have for y'all today is, how does your program recruit and train peer mentors? So for us here at Mount Sinai, we try to do like a basically like a graduate program. So for individual has came through, and not necessarily, but for individual has came through our floor, did their acute rehab here, did their outpatient rehabilitation therapy there. That's how we begin to recruit. You know, typically if that individual went through their full therapy course and now is moving on in life, that's another, thing. We look for quality of life, um, things that they are accomplishing, stuff like that, because we want to pay it forward. So when we do recruit someone, we want someone that the patient that they might visit knows that he was me at one time or she was me at one time, and can guide them I had mentors in the past when I first got hurt that I didn't get along with. I didn't see my life, looking like how theirs were. I would ask them questions like, do you work or did you go to school? And they would say no. And I'm like, so those are qualities that I do look for, in recruiting a mentor. I want to see how they progressed after their injury. There's a lot of individuals as well that, sometimes, do therapy for the next 10 years straight and really didn't accomplish as many life goals as they should have or could have. So, those are things I also take into consideration. I just don't make anybody a mentor. I think, they have to go through, certain events and show that they are triumphing through this injury. It doesn't have to look pretty either, but they're triumphing. So I wonder how the Reed Foundation trains their peer mentors and recruit, because that could be assistance for us as well.
Yeah, Garrison. Well, I mean, I think honestly, Garrison, I think you nailed it. I mean, we kind of do the same thing. So I'll tell you one quick story, and then I'll give you a minute on sort of how we sort of do it now. But when I first started the program, or first started the program, I was talking to a young woman, and she's like, "Well, I need an excuse to get off the couch." I'm like, "Well, then you know what? You're not probably the person we're looking for. When you get off the couch, you've done some things, then you give me a call, but we're not the reason for you to do it." But really what we do is we do the same kind of thing. We get we get referrals from the staff. So we have about 75 people here at the Reed Foundation on staff across the country. We get referrals from them, if you will. But really what we do more of now is working with partners. So, Garrison, I know we've talked a couple times, you talked to PJ and helped each other out and supported each other, but we're partnered up with Shepard and Craig also, and McGee and Philly. And so if we do a training or we're training mentors, we say to them, "Hey, who do you know? I mean, you're going to know these people. You're going to have seen them in action. You're going to see how they responded to themselves and their own injuries, to their family members and loved ones, to other people on the floor in the rehab room, and all that kind of stuff." So instead of us sort of maybe trying to interview them over the phone, we'd rather talk to our partners. TJ's affiliated with Baylor down in Texas. Who do you guys have? You know them better than we do. We'll once we get to know our point of contact and have a trust feeling with them, we're going to, Garrison, if you came to me and said, "I got a great peer mentor, they just moved to Philly, or they're out down by Dallas," we're going to look at them and look at that more than someone who. Now we do get people off the street, if you will, and we'll talk to them as well and bring them on. But a lot of it now is done through the partners, because you guys know them, you spend time with them, and that's what we want.
Yeah. And when they do come to us, or because I'll have some people that are newly injured, and they're like, "Hey, I want to be a peer mentor." I'm like, "Well, hold on, And one of our, we try to, at least you've been hurt at least a year and you're out doing something, you've kind of lived it, you've been through some things, we want that too. But we it's like you said, Garrison, we're not, we want you to, you're out in the community, or you're working, or you're going back to school, or you're not just sitting at home, and we want someone that's going to be able to push that and give some, also being a way, a role model to someone that's also
a role
injured.
model.
So there you go. Yeah.
All right. So my next questions are, so maybe I could start with Donahue, and then TJ or Bill could piggyback on it. But how do you measure, what are the key benefits that individuals with SCI gain from having access to peer mentors? I think that's a good question for anyone who wants to answer.
So it can go from housing. I'm sorry. Yeah, everyone was quiet until it was my time
It's
to
all
speak.
good. It's all good.
Yeah, it was kidding me. So I'm sorry, but let me just speak a little louder, all right?
Yeah.
So the benefits are you have a support system. Okay, it is very important to have a support system, someone that knows how to navigate this disabled world, right? Whether it's employment, whether it's proper health care, equipment for your care, knowing what you need, living situations, employment, continuing education, or maybe you were injured young, so this is your first year going into college, or you're
Yeah.
still trying to graduate high school, or we have the experience or we have the connections to make it a lot easier for you to transition through life. And that's just one of
Nice.
the benefits of having a support system, a peer mentor,
Yeah.
an experienced peer mentor, educated peer mentor, you know?
Yeah.
Like he said, someone that's been active enough to where they've networked and they know who to call if we don't know it all. And we'll never leave you stranded. Like, that's not a cool feeling.
Yeah.
You know, we'll always find a way to get an answer for you. If it's through a friend, wherever it is, you know?
Yeah.
I save a lot of numbers just for that reason.
No, I agree
Nah,
with
that's
you.
great. Yep.
I think some of ours, like one of the things I like is when they feel like they don't even really need the mentor aspect of just always for the positive. I mean, they start taking, they're starting to push themselves. You know what I mean? So they start going, "Hey man, I tried this the other day and it was, it took a little while, but I was able to do it and I felt good about it." Where they're starting to take some of those risks for themselves. They're starting to try to be more independent, whether that be enrolling back in school, or maybe started looking at a job interview, and sometimes too, it's just when we're first dealing with someone that may be injured and they're just so upset, they're having somebody else do everything for them. Like, hey, even though you have a voice, you can still make your own doctor's appointments. You can start, taking control of what, is happening, and you can start seeing them taking more ownership of what's going on and doing that. And that's a huge thing. And then I always let them know too. It's like, I don't care. Yeah, I've been hurt 34 years. I still bounce stuff off of the actual roommate I had when we were both injured. We became close friends, worked together at IBM before I worked here, and we still bounce stuff off of. And Bill and I, we're both quadriplegics. We will ask each other questions because we can always learn from each other. And the fact that they know that too, that they know that they're not alone and they're reaching out. Because I've had people that have reached out to us. They had a mentor, did really well. They kind of lost touch, but then they've come back to us an hour, a year later, talking to their mentor because something came up, and they didn't just wait around and let it defeat them. They reached out for help and knew that, if people are there to help us, and, the first step is actually reaching out and wanting to talk to somebody. That's the first step of realizing you can live life. And so we always try to tell them that too, is, you're doing good by even asking for help right now. So that's a good thing. And so when they start doing more and asking more questions, those are signs that the mentorship is working and the mentor relationship's working.
And I would say just the isolation, both, TJ kind of touched on, I think maybe Donahue did too, in terms of no one really fully understanding what you're going through. But then also you may not have anybody in your community. I mean, we deal with folks that are living in Idaho, literally, places with just nobody that they can even, see or talk to that's going through it in their town, maybe 10,000 people or less in Idaho, let's say. I'll give you one other quick story. I keep doing.
Yeah, nah, you could give as many, man.
I went to go visit somebody before I was even with the Reeve Foundation. Young guy, and I was younger. And I was going to visit him. I was late. I got in there. I rolled in. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry I'm late. I know visiting hours is going to be over real short, but I wanted to at least pop in because I was here. But I got out of work late. Couldn't find a parking spot, and I literally have to get home because we got to take our kids somewhere. But I'll come back on Saturday or something like that." And stayed with them for about 5 more minutes after that because literally they were rushing us out the door. Back then, you really did. They took pretty strict visiting hours now or then. And the mom came out and grabbed me and she said, "Bill, in 37 seconds, you showed him what everyone else has been telling him. All the doctors, the therapists, all the people who get to walk out of the room when they're done, talking about how it can be normal. You just showed him that you work, you drive, you got kids, you're married,
family,
and you didn't spend an hour doing it. You showed them, and because you love your doctors, nurses, rehabs, but they get up and walk out of the room when they're done, and so I think mentoring is powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree with what everyone said. Me being a mentor, to others, and I was doing mentorship. I didn't even know I was doing it, just by, visiting people or people reaching out to me, inquiring, how do I transfer this way? Or what do I do in order to stay out all day? Do I wear a leg bag? Do I self-calf? Those type of things. And people would just reach out to me asking those questions. And, one of the things with me, once I got injured, I felt like it was a need for me to explain to whoever, what I'm going through. And that would make people more aware so that way they can help someone else. And so if someone would reach out to me like, do you cath or do you wear a leg bag? I'll make sure and answer that question. Like, I self-cath, the reason why, give the pros and cons, and, give them that option so that way they can make a sound decision. Because as we know with the spinal cord injury, we all have different abilities. We could be the same exact level. We do things totally different. So I also inform them of that. Like, this is just the way I do things, but there's so many other ways you can do it. And yeah, so it's very important, I think, that, individuals have a mentor or just someone in their life that they could reach out to at, any minute. A lot of times, at least the mentors are very accessible as far as willing, because this is like more of something everyone chose to do. You volunteer to be a mentor. You volunteer to give your time to help someone else. So everybody's, usually open. So I always encourage individuals to, when I, approach them with, the idea of having a mentor, to accept it. I do know a lot of times early on in the injury, people are reluctant to have a mentor because they feel as if, which is understandable, because I was that way. Like, hey, I'm not
Yeah,
going to
because
be.
they're like, that's not going to be me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going
going
to
to
be
get
walking
up
out of
out of
here.
here and walk in the
That's
next
how
six
I was.
months.
I'm walking
Yeah.
out of this rehab.
And then 6 months go by, then you're like, all right, I give it another 3 months. And then 3 months go by, like, I need some help now. Like, because by then you already had your first UTI, you might have had a wound or something
Right,
like that.
right.
And then you're like, all right, I really need someone that I'm willing to, feel comfortable with letting them know what I'm going through. Cause yeah.
Well, and it's funny you say that because a lot of times we get calls from like the spouse or the mom, like,
Yeah.
hey, my son's been injured for 2 weeks. You need to call him. I'm like, no, we don't do, he's got to be emotionally ready and
Yeah.
wanting to talk. Because if you're pushing it when they're not ready, it's just going to make them
It's going to
resentful.
turn them
And
off.
yeah, so
Exactly.
we wait for them to be ready. And if I can, real quick, as Mark, you emailed me on, and Mark's on the call. Definitely, I can take care of matching you up with someone close to your situation for you. So I'm going to send you an email with a link and stuff that we can just set a appointment to call and everything like that. But just that point of you reaching out and asking is awesome. So I wanted to
Yep.
say that real
You
quick.
made the first start. By being here, you made the first step.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So, what are some of the most rewarding aspects of working as a peer mentor or a peer mentor coordinator, or, anything in
And I've
regards to
talked
peer
to our
mentors?
mentors about this a lot of time, and they get it too. Is we definitely we're there to help our peer, but at the same time, I think, and anyone here is mentor, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
you've done it. We've gone through it. You feel good about yourself in a way because you're like
Yeah.
you are paying it forward, giving it back, because we know how hard that can be when it goes
Yes.
on like that. And when someone says, "Oh my God," and they kind of get that epiphany. I mean, like, oh, you mean I can do this? I can still date, or I can still maybe go here. I can still go to school. I can drive. I can go, I can do that for myself. That can make such a huge difference. And you feel that, and you're like, wow, okay, this is why we do this. This is why it's important, is letting them know that, life's not over. And, I try to give them the old example of life's not over. I just sit down and get better parking spaces. It's the way I look at it, kind of thing, And and if you can see them starting to accept that and do that, that's where the reward is.
What about for you, Donahue? What's your most rewarding part?
Yeah, man. My one of my, I wouldn't say most rewarding. I'll say one of my rewarding moments. Right. I try to be humble. It was actually over the summer with Paul Williams. I did not expect to become like a mentor for him. That wasn't the goal, right? The goal was, all right, there's a guy that has a great experience, a background. Somehow we can work together. I didn't know when I went to Philadelphia to meet with him that he had taken it so hard.
Yeah.
I was there. I was caught off guard. I was like, wow, okay, I have to really do some work here. I have to, turn the gears on. And, through me just not pushing him, me just being patient, listening to him sometimes, finding a place where we could connect. I ended up getting him to a place where I was able to introduce the sport to him in the gym and work with him. And I mean, and if you've seen how he brightened up when I was hitting the speed bag and he was telling me to do this work, that was amazing, you know. To the point now where he's ready to come back and start working on himself to get back in the ring. That's hard, you know. I mean, he is on the top of the world. You know, at the moment his motorcycle accident happened, he was on top of the world, or he was on his way to be, and it all just disappeared like that. To come back to that, it's different than our day of life. You know, we have our families, you know, the local people we've seen our lives. You know, he had the world watching. Yeah. And to come back and to be bold enough to face it in this way, which is hard for a lot of us, right? Because facing the world being disabled was really hard for me. Like my first job was sitting field. And the way people stared, it was just like, I don't know how I got through the shifts, you know? But I just made the best of it. You know, sometimes you just got to jump in the water.
I agree with you.
Man, if beautiful things can happen. That's what I can say. If you know, take the chance, beautiful things can happen.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Bill, do you want to share? And then I'll share, and then we'll leave the floor open for questions. I see Joy has her hand up, so after we share an answer to this question, I'll open up the floor for questions so you can share.
Yeah, I think I know what the question was, but unfortunately cut out. So if you could just repeat.
I got you. What was your most rewarding moment as rewarding aspect of working as a peer mentor or peer mentor coordinator?
TJ's got his responses. I figured that's what it was, but I wanted to make sure. Yeah, you know, I can't think of a moment because you know, TJ and his counterpart do a lot of the interaction with the peer mentors more than I do, unfortunately, these days. But what I have done over the years, which I tend to, I don't know if I enjoy more or whatever, not enjoy more, but feel like I see a real impact, is talking to the parents and letting them know, or the spouses or their significant others, that, hey, they're going to be okay. You know, and what you're hearing is going to make, you know, you take what the doctors tell them and kind of dumb it down for them a little bit, not in a bad way, but really let them sort of know practically what it means and what it looks like. But giving that spark back to the parents or the spouses that this is possible. Now it takes a lot, and that person's spouse is going to have to step up their game, you know, and deal with it too. But because they're so down in the dumps, you know, my mom, I've always said this was tougher on my mom than it ever was me. But so to be able to give that little spark and that hope for the parents so that they can then have that translate to their child or their spouse or their loved one, those are the ones that kind of stick with me more. TJ and Hannah kind of deal with the day-to-day more than I do, unfortunately, these days. So, but yeah, that stays with me over the years.
So my most rewarding moment, I think, is typically when the patients that are on acute rehab get discharged and they say thank you, for all the assistance that I try to give them, whether it's books to educate them or just a lot of times I'm just talking to them. Maybe we might just talk for an hour, not nothing dealing with the spinal cord injury, just talking about life, what's some of your goals, what were some of your goals? How are we going to achieve those goals? Because what people do not know because of the uncertainty is that majority of the things that you did when you was an able body, you still can do, with whatever level of your injury that you have. I remember I sometimes tell individuals, like, there might have been 10,000 things that you was able to do before your injury. Now you probably only could do 9,000, but in life we only do about 3,000 anyway. So who cares about the stuff that you can't do, because you were never going to even get to that. So, but it's just like, and then showing them pictures, showing them some of the things that I do, some of the things that other people do. Like sometimes, like I know like a few quadriplegics that like wash their car themselves, things that you just never thought that or could imagine that you would be able to do, then to show them that. Or I'll even show parents like, yo, look at this quad, he drives a Corvette, like, so no telling what you could drive, or things like that. I really see once they see a positive outlook, people doing incredible things. A lot of times I think it makes the acceptance of the injury a little bit easier, because then you have that satisfaction to know that life can be okay, even though at the current moment it might not. But in 4 weeks, you're going to be night and day. You're going to learn how to transfer. You're going to learn how to probably do your routines within that time. And it's going to help towards your independence, and you want to get as close as possible to being independent, no matter what injury level you are. Whatever you can do, you try to do. And each day I'm inspired by, even people that I mentee, just to see their growth and things that they learn. Like, you can actually learn from the person that you're mentoring. because things change in the medical field each and every day. So if you was injured 20 years ago, it might not look the same as someone that was injured 5 weeks ago, or a month ago, a year ago. There's a lot of new technologies, you know, I learn new things every day. Like, I didn't know there was tendon transfers for quads, to regain tricep strength, things of that nature. I learned from other individuals asking me, what is a tendon transfer? So, I think having a mentor is really important. And since we have 10 minutes left now, I'll leave the floor open for some questions. Whoever want to ask, or, even want to get in touch with anybody on this call, you could feel free to reach out or, let them know. So I'll start with Joy because your hand is raised, and we'll go from there. I also reached out to this gentleman, James, that's joining now. I think that he lives in Tennessee, where it's kind of remote, and he's newly injured, and he's trying to learn everything. And I guess he didn't have the same rehabilitation that some of us had by going to one of the model system rehabilitation hospitals and things of that nature. But I think this is a good start. So Joy first.
Garrison, can I just
Yeah.
real quick touch on, if anybody does ever want a pyramid like James is in a remote area, if anyone it's really easy of going to the ChristopherReeve.org website, and you can, click to request a mentor, and we can even set a time for myself or Hannah to call you and get some information, talk. But please reach out to us, but ChristopherReeve.org is the quickest, probably the way. So.
All right, thanks, man. So James, hope you caught that, which I'll share. If you have any difficulty, you can reach out to me and I'll share the Reef, link and
feel
stuff.
free to share my email, Garrison,
Okay.
with anybody too. Yeah, they can email me directly.
All right. So it's on you now, Joy. You got the mic.
Hi, everybody. Could you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. My name is Joy. I'm a part of ACI. I recently graduated from Stony Brook University with my master's. I have I want to be a mentor. I have experience with social work, and I think it's important for people with SEI to identify their goals before and after the injury so they can identify who they are, and not so it could be about them. Because if they can't identify for themselves or identify what they aspire to do, then it's like we can't help them.
I totally agree.
Yeah, thanks, Joy. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
David, it's on you now, man.
First of all, I'm just grateful to be on this call. Thank you, Garrison, for even allowing me to attend. My name is David Marrero. I'm a level C4 spinal cord injury, incomplete. I got into a motorcycle accident about August 4th, 2023. I did my rehab in Mount Sinai. And straight from Mount Sinai, I moved to Florida because this is the only place that I had people that would be able to help me. Um, I came here. It took me 7 months to get health insurance. I've done 1 month of physical therapy in the whole last year. Um, I just got the baclofen pump surgery to control my muscle spasms a little better, and I'm on deck to get back into physical therapy come second week of January.
Lit.
My journey so far has been more mental than anything. It's been more mental than anything, and I try to um spread positivity through my like social medias and people that I talk to. Um I have, my social media platforms where I do this every Wednesday. I do like a getting over the hump post where it's like, okay, we need to get over the hump. One way or another, we're figuring it out. It's more mental than physical for me. So I'm more like, I'm more of a talker and a thinker, and I'm if you give me a problem, I want to troubleshoot. How can we fix this? So like this call was absolutely awesome just being on here. I look forward to doing like peer mentoring and things like that because I think I was just put on earth to help people. Um, so this is great, and I just want to say thank you guys for,
Yeah.
for the information that you guys are spreading. Thank you, Garrison, for even giving me the opportunity to be on this call.
Yeah.
Um, and I just appreciate it, man. Honestly, for real.
And I think you will make a great peer mentor, David. You know, a lot of things you learned on your own, you know, as far as just navigating. And, you know, those are tasks, you know, real tasks that people are going to encounter, you know,
Right.
after their injury. And, you know,
Mhm.
with your knowledge, you know, I think that would make you a great mentor, you know, someday, you know, whenever you ready to or something like that, you know, because of the
I'm ready to
fact
start now, man.
Yeah. Well, hey,
because of
David.
the
Also, let David. You know, you can take
Hey,
my information. I've had a backup from pump since '94. I'm on my
wow.
sixth one because they replace them every 6,
wow.
5 or 6 years. So if you
Okay.
ever have questions about stuff like that, give me a call.
I
I can at least give you my.
definitely will contact
Okay.
you about that because I'm still in a daze about everything, and
It
I
takes a
still
little
don't.
while, and that's what the mentoring is, and that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about future stuff too as well. So
For sure. That's definitely,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I will definitely take your information down and I'll contact you and hopefully we can talk some more.
And David,
good.
congratulations on making that jump. That's a big move to do so quick. So good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
You.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank you.
And trust me, there's other people with SCI that's thinking about making that same move
Yeah.
right now,
Mhm.
living in a hospital, and you know that's something you could tell them to prepare for, like what it was
And
like, because I know
the
it's
process you went through. Yeah.
yeah, I know it's
Man,
difficult.
I waited 4 months to get the surgery. Like when they brought it to me, I said, yeah, I want to do it. And then the next week I had another appointment. I said, okay, I need more information. I need more information about it because I don't know too much about this. I heard a couple of bad things. I need more information. And they made me wait 4 months to get this surgery. So for the last
Man.
4 months, I've just been sitting around doing my own exercises at home, whatever I can do, without the spasms really getting to me. And just honestly, it's just I just like to celebrate the little wins more than the big ones because the big wins don't come around as often. So I
That's a
just like to
great
look at the
attitude to
little
have.
things.
That's how you have to have it. That's how you have to look at it too. So
Yeah,
Well, you need a lot of little wins to get the big wins, I think. So I think you're right
Mhm.
on track.
exactly, for sure.
All right, all right. I see Victor, you came off of mute. You wanna chime in? I know you've been doing a lot of mentoring throughout, you know, your injury years, probably over 20 years, right? About 20 years now of mentoring.
Here.
Oh, you cut out for a second. The
No,
sound.
I've been doing mentoring for about years,
Okay.
and I think my greatest joy is about being a mentor. Is when I go to the hospital, patient, I say, let them know that it's life after spinal cord injury. Like, try to focus on what they have in front of them now. Take care of yourself, take care of your body, be positive about it. A lot of people they don't want to hear it, but it's all about listening to them, see what the needs are, so you can fulfill the need. And getting resources, information that they know, like things that I like. I like to do a lot of sport, so I got a lot of videos. I show them water skiing, skydiving, surfing, enjoying life. So I mean, my greatest joy is when I see them back in the community and they've been themselves. They're back to work, living the life, nothing like it. And sometimes I think, I know I got spinal cord injury, but if this is the purpose why I got injured, I got no problem with that. With that, I just want to help somebody else.
Yeah, just helping someone else, you know, that's important. Well, yeah, so we right about that time. I would like to thank the Reed Foundation for coming, Bill and TJ. Donahue, thank you for sharing, you know, over there with adaptive boxing and all the good things you have coming up. Yeah, and I just want to express to everyone, if you need a mentor, you know, you have the avenues to reach out. You can reach out to us here at Mount Sinai, Reed Foundation, pretty much any hospital that specialize, any rehab that specializes in spinal cord injury will have the resources to connect you with a mentor or get so, you know, yeah. So I would like to just thank everyone for coming. I have a friend of mine that just joined, Carrie. However, now that it's over, but I just to piggyback, I'll send you a copy of this recording. But
Okay.
yeah, we discussed the importance of, having a mentor, why you should have a mentor, and all of the whole nine. So thank y'all. I appreciate it. I want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy
Yes.
new year. And yeah, stay connected, stay connected. That's
Exactly.
the most important. Community is everything.
Thank you, Garrison.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for the
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
opportunity. Great
Garrison.
talking to y'all.
All right,
Donnie,
thank you
it was
guys
great
at
to see you.
the Re Foundation, man. Awesome stuff. David, I wish some other people could have